to Griffon Update Sports, a student-produced show all about Missouri Western athletics. We've got it all every week. Highlights, games, players, fans, and every sport all year long.
Hello and welcome to Griffon Update Sports. I'm Jake Michael.
And I'm Morgan Doyle. First things first, Jake, let's address the most exciting thing that's happened in the last week since we've been here.
Well, if you're referring to the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I could seriously talk about that all day.
Well, you'll definitely get your chance later. Everyone here at Missouri Western is super excited about the Chiefs being Super Bowl champs for the first time in 50 years, and many students even went down to Kansas City to celebrate last week. But lately, some of our own teams have brought some excitement to campus as well.
That's right, Morgan. Our men's and women's basketball teams have still been dominating this season. Last week, the men's team had wins over Lincoln and Central Missouri, and we've got coverage of their win over UCM. Here's what happened. Protect Looney. That's the sentiment that has rung true for the men's team since their victory over Nebraska Kearney. And the bell? That rings too. The Griffs remain perfect on their home floor. Not a single obstacle has stood in their way. Reese Glover tied the school's single-game record with 8 three-pointers. In a high-scoring, neck-and-neck contest, Western was able to hold off. To defeat a team that knocked off number 1 ranked Northwest Missouri State at this point in the year has these Griffs oozing with confidence. Reporting for Griffon Media, this has been Jake Michael. The Griffins shot over 52% from the field and almost 43% from the three-point line that game. So their hot shooting definitely was a big factor in that win, especially when things got close towards the end.
It definitely was, Jake, and they were able to stay undefeated here at home and protect Looney once again.
Speaking of protecting their home court, the women's team also had wins over Lincoln and UCM last week.
And that win over UCM was a big one, too. Let's take a look.
The Griffon women's basketball team tallied another quality win to their record last Saturday against the Jennies of Central Missouri. UCM came into Looney ranked 18th in Division II, but couldn't find their hot shooting stroke in this contest. The Griffins on the flip side found theirs early and often. The distributing from Katrina Ronfeld allowed Western to shoot 50% on their three-point looks. These Griffs continue to surprise each and every game. More quality wins like this will certainly make their case for a national rank. Reporting for Griffon Media, this has been Jake Michael.
That was actually Central Missouri's first MIAA loss of the season.
It was a very impressive performance by these Griffins for sure, but we can't forget about our track and field team's performance this weekend also.
The team went up to Northwest this past weekend and had multiple top 10 finishes.
Some of those performances included Hannah Williams winning the 600-yard with a new program record and the women's 4x4 placing 4th overall.
Our spring sports have also started up this week as baseball traveled down to Southern Arkansas University. They went 0-3. Now let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with our roundtable.
Hi, so tell me about yourself.
Well, my name is Paul. That's short for polyethylene terephthalate. I like long walks on the beach and soda pop.
Me too.
And you know, I'm just looking for someone to spend the next 450 years with. I mean, I'm not decomposing anytime soon.
I'm not sure I'm ready for that type of commitment.
But wait!
Maybe it's time to break it with Paul. Use reusable beverage containers and recycle plastic bottles.
Welcome back. We're here with Griffon Update sports contributor Bo Baker to discuss Super Bowl 54 and the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. So guys, I know we were a comeback team this season, but I'm going to be completely honest, I was getting pretty nervous there in about the third quarter. Were you ever nervous or did you have confidence the whole time?
I was. After that second interception, I was like, I don't know what the odds were for us to come back. It was like less than 10%. Like it was that low. And now the way it all transpired, I will never doubt them again. They could be down 20 with 2 minutes left. I won't doubt them. They are a resilient bunch. We've never seen anything like them. I mean, I know that any Patriot team that's had Tom Brady at quarterback is a resilient bunch, but man, this team is just, there's something different. Like when big plays need to be made, they made them. And for the 49ers, I mean, yeah, they carved us up and they went on some long drives, but they only ended in field goals. Their longest drives were ending in field goals, so they couldn't cap them off with touchdowns, and that's why they were able to leave the door open. So, you know, it's little things like that. It's funny if you go back and watch the whole game, you could ask yourself, man, well, if this didn't happen, if that didn't happen, little things would have totally, resulted in a different outcome. So, yeah, they're a resilient bunch. That was a fun game. That was exciting. I mean, the fact that you were down 10 and won by 11, that's just incredible. Like, I still can't believe it.
I mean, everybody's going to be scared when their favorite team is down heading into the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl against someone that's as good as the 49ers, especially how good they've been all year. I was nervous. I ain't going to lie to you a little bit, but I have faith in them. I mean, because I remember, like, when they played the Texans, they were down by 24-0. Like, I left after the first quarter to go to Wade's, came back. It's the third quarter. We're up 28-24. Like, I know that they're able to come back. They came back against Tennessee the next week, and Tennessee was a hot team, beat the Patriots and the Ravens. So I have faith in them the entire time, but it's just – in all games, the Super Bowl is probably not the game you want to scare us in like that. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. They're all going to do their thing. So, at the end of the day, like, they're a tough team to beat. Like, they only need to get hot for, like, a single drive, and then next thing you know, it opens the floodgates for them.
Yeah, they just had to break it open. And once I saw that big pass to Tyreek Hill, I was like, okay, now we're gonna get moving a little bit. But what do you think all these comebacks? I mean, 3 postseason games, 3 double-digit deficits, and come back. What does that say about Andy Reid and his coaching?
I think it says a lot about the way he's able to keep their spirits up and how he's always got some things in his back pocket that when he needs them, like Wasp, for example, that play that they ran to Tyreek in that Super Bowl, they got those plays in their back pockets whenever they need them. And it takes one big play. So, like, when I'm thinking of the Texans game, that McCole Hardman kickoff return, that sparked everything. Like, that's the kind of momentum builder that you get. And so that pass to Tyreek on Wasp was a big momentum builder. So, Andy Reid's he's just a leader of men. I never doubt that he connects with his players. He always keeps that spirit up on that sideline, no matter the situation, no matter no matter where they're at, whether they're down or whether they're up, they play to win. They don't play, not to lose. That's just the way Andy Reid's always fought. I'm most certainly just excited for him. I'm happy for him. Like, there was nothing better than watching him get showered with Gatorade at the end of that game. That was just awesome. I am so happy for Big Red, man. I'm happy for just every single one of those guys. But I got to give credit to Patrick Mahomes too. He's always keeping those guys' the spirits up. He's like, let's do something special. They may not have the ball, but he's on the sideline talking to his guys, saying, "Hey, look, if you get a chance to make a play, go make it. Let's go be special." And that's what they did.
Yeah, big-time players going to make big-time plays. Leaders going to lead. Patrick Mahomes, like you said, is a great leader. Like, without him, the Chiefs wouldn't be the team that they are. Like, that leader, and it's not even from the plays he makes on the field. It's the leadership qualities he brings off the field. I feel like that really can tell from a good team to a great team to an elite team. And that's why the Chiefs are going to make that stride to be one of those elite teams that are going to be contending for Super Bowls for the next few years to come and stuff, because of Patrick Mahomes, because of Travis Kelce, the energy that he brings to the table, the speed that you have with Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Hardman, all those guys. And, of course, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's always been a smart coach, been a great coach, and he never is going to quit no matter what, like you said. So, I mean, it was awesome to see him get showered with the Gatorade, but, like, he's going to be a coach that's going to make you battle into the end. Like, he's never going to give up. He's going to make you fight for 4 quarters, and that's what they've done throughout the entire playoffs, and it ended up being dividend at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, the story on Andy Reid's always been, he can't play with big leads when he had Alex Smith at quarterback, and then now you've got a guy that, somehow finds himself down in some games, and they somehow make comebacks. Like last year in the AFC Championship game, they were down, and they somehow found a way to tie it up and send it to overtime. I mean, I don't know whether to give more credit to Pat or to Andy. I'm just going to give equal credit both ways, because I feel like it takes a great play caller to set up, a guy to be successful, and then it takes a guy to, execute and take advantage of what's been given to him. So it's a match made in heaven, man. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just they are going to be set up for a very long time. The 49ers are a great team. It wouldn't surprise me if one day that they meet again in the Super Bowl, because they're that elite. But I think you saw a huge gap, the size of the Grand Canyon, in quarterback play that game.
Both of you brought it up, but I was going to ask, do you think we have finally created a dynasty?
It's hard to say until money becomes an object. That's when it all becomes reality, and that guys got to get paid, and you can't maintain every single one of them. You got some guys locked up for the next few years. We just signed Tyreek to an extension, and Travis Kelce got his a couple years back. So we got them for now. Pat's got to get his at some point. Chris Jones is still he could be a free agent. We could franchise him. He wants a long-term deal. He's going to be important to re-sign. So. Hard to say. It's very hard to say. It's just when money becomes an object, that's when you see whether they can last or not. But if everything stays together, I don't see why not.
Yeah, definitely. Money's going to be the biggest thing that's going to see if this team stays together or falls apart. But in order for it to be a dynasty, they got to win another championship. And I feel like next year would be the prime time to do it, especially with all the pieces still being around. Like I know Sammy Watkins was contemplating whether or not he wants to sit out this couple of years for whatever reason. But if you keep all the pieces together and you make the same strides or even more strides over the course of this 2020 season to make a push to go back to the Super Bowl again this coming year, then the talks can flood out about being a dynasty. But they got to win another title in order for that to even be a discussion yet.
I think when you start thinking about teams like New England and how they've built dynasties, is they always find their gems at very cheap prices in the draft, and they find guys that exceed expectations in their role. And I think that's what we're going to have to do as well. Like McCole Hardman, a second-round pick as a rookie, was absolutely stellar. Finding those little gems here and there that don't cost you as much, that's what really makes the biggest difference. So I hope it means people are going to pay a little more attention to the draft and who we get. And what guys are playing a little better than what they're being paid. That's what builds dynasties, and that's why New England is successful, because they play within their role, they play within the system, and it results in winning. It may not be the most fun. Some guys have made that very clear. It's not always fun, but they win, and to me, winning is a lot of fun.
Do you have any opinions of what needs to be done this offseason, maybe?
Make sure you keep that whole offensive core together. Don't let any single one of them go. I said that last year after we lost, and I still mean that today. I think we need another nice little hybrid linebacker. It would be nice to get. Terrell Suggs was a good pickup, and I always forget that we lost Alex Okafor and we lost Emmanuel Ogbah to injuries this year, and they were two very good pass rushers. I think Okafor was playing his best football at the time he got hurt, so I always forget about that. They could have been just as bigger contributors than Terrell Suggs was, and that was the reason why we had to sign him, because we lost two pass rushers. So. No, I just keep adding pieces. That's all it really is. As simple as that may sound, as cliche as that may sound, you just got to keep adding pieces. Don't get complacent. But the biggest thing that I take away from winning the Super Bowl is that now free agents will look at Kansas City as a free agent destination. It's not glamorous, but as some of these other cities, but you're going to look at the situation and say, look, I'm just not winning where I'm at, but I can contribute to this team and we can win.
It might not be glamorous, but it's winning.
That's right.
That's all that matters.
That's pretty glamorous to me.
Hey, I agree totally. But other than like adding more pieces, keeping the pieces together, that's going to be the biggest thing for sure. Like add a couple pieces, like you said, a linebacker, maybe another perimeter like threat deep from like the defensive side, a corner or a safety that really is going to hone in to help Tyrann Mathieu out. Like we have other pieces, but like if we get another one. Like, obviously, not a Richard Sherman, but, like, somebody like him, like how he did when he was in Seattle. If we could get someone like that in the league, and the names aren't coming to me off the top of the head right now, but if we can get someone like that on the defense and our defense starts to become consistent, because that was the biggest thing with our defense this year, was pretty inconsistent until the last few games of the season and in the playoffs, even though there were stretches where we were up and down still. Like, if our defense becomes even more consistent, then like we talked about before with the dynasty, that can really come into effect then.
Yeah, another thing you have to think about is coaching too. Eric Bieniemy was interested in a head coaching job. He interviewed for some, but he didn't get one, and so for that reason, it's kind of too bad for him, because I know he wants to take over a team by himself, but. And kind of build a staff around him, but it's nice that we still get to maintain him, and he gets to work alongside Andy Reid and come up with some more interesting play calls. So keeping Spags. I know Spags wants to find a head coaching job somewhere too. So coaching just as important too, and I think the 49ers can echo that as well. I know Robert Saleh is a great defensive coordinator. He could easily be coaching an NFL team right now by himself as a head coach, but that's big too. We can't forget about that.
Okay, so taking it back to the actual Super Bowl game now a little bit. Do you think, I know some people said that Damian Williams they believe got robbed of the MVP, but at the same time, Patrick Mahomes has kind of carried this team on his back. So do you think that was the rightful MVP, or what are your opinions?
Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks always had the leg up in Super Bowl MVP voting. It's just what it is. They are the most important pieces out on the field. Damian was great. He had the touchdown that capped it off, and he had a big touchdown there at the end. He was, he was better than any running back that the 49ers had that game. So, and big credit to the offensive line for giving him holes to run through. But no, Damian, again, that's a guy right there. It played better than what we're actually paying him. So. I mean, there's a guy who stepped up and performed better than what most people thought. He is a playoff performer, and that's what he showed. So, I could have made the argument. You can make the argument, but if you take off the one big run at the end, the touchdown that capped it all off, you probably wouldn't have this discussion right now. But you got to give credit to the quarterback, man. I mean, that is a tough position to be in, the biggest game of your life, and you played in it like you've been playing in it for so many years,
Especially for a guy who had to deal with injuries so much this season with Patrick Mahomes and what he did to rally his troops around throughout the entire season, the entire playoffs and stuff like that. Like, you can't put that past him when you put into discussion who deserves the MVP. Like you said, Williams played a great game. He's a playoff performer, but he's been earning that rep over the whole season, regular season and playoffs. So, I definitely can see where people are making an argument, but, if you do take off that last-minute touchdown, let's say he got knocked out of bounds after he gained 15 yards, then it's not as much of an argument you could say, but with that touchdown, it does make a bigger of an argument. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is the glue guy. He's the one that keeps everybody together. If Williams is playing bad, bringing him back in. If, Tyreek's in his head a little bit, bringing him back in. Kelsey not really catching the ball sometimes like he did throughout the playoffs, bringing him back in, telling him it's okay, it's cool. I know it's the Super Bowl MVP, so it's based off of the one game. But sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. And not just the stats, but what else is this man doing to help the team? Maybe not from a statistical standpoint, but like I said before, with the leadership standpoint. That's why, Patrick Mahomes definitely deserved it, so without a doubt, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is intangible things other than just stats that make a big difference, which is why I really liked him coming out of Texas Tech. I thought he had great – I was like, this is a guy that other men – much more older, much more experienced than him, they will follow, and they will follow his lead well. He can uplift a team in times of crisis, and so that is a great point. You have to factor that stuff in, and they all do that stuff. That's why you go through an interview process when you're getting drafted. They have to figure out what kind of person you are. They got to dig deep. That's why they'll ask some very unusual questions when they interview you. But that is a big factor, and so and many people can make the argument that the reason why they were in that hole in the Super Bowl is because of Patrick Mahomes, but all in all, you probably don't win that game without him. So, he probably deserved it at the end of the day because he's the quarterback and he's the face of the league now.
It's kind of crazy. At 24, we're talking about him leading an entire football team, being Super Bowl MVP, and here we are, 21 years old, talking about a 24-year-old doing all these things. So,
yeah, some people are just a little more talented than others, and he is definitely something special. That's for sure.
God gave him some abilities and used it to his advantage at the end of the day. So God bless him, and hopefully he brings some more titles back to Kansas City.
Let's hope so.
Do you think they'll be back in St. Joe next year for training camp?
They're 1-0 in Super Bowls when they are here, so I guess I can make that argument. I hope so. I know there's a lot of economic factors that have to be taken into account, but I hope so. I enjoyed coming and watching them. They will draw a bigger crowd than they did this past year, and that was on the brink of a Super Bowl, and this time they just won it. So I hope so, man. But if they don't, I get it.
They gave St. Joe a shout-out during the parade speeches. I'm sure you probably saw it, but they mentioned us, so we made it, I guess.
We made it in life. It's my hometown, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Go St. Joe, baby.
That's
Hopefully
right.
they do come back. And that crowd this year was crazy, but next year, this coming summer, if they come back, there ain't going to be enough parking spots.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'll tell you what. Well, Bo, we appreciate you talking about the game with us, and let's hope we're talking about this a year from now. We won't be here, but hopefully they'll be talking about it.
Let's take a look at our upcoming Griffon sports this week.
Men's and women's basketball both traveled to Pitt State on Wednesday and Joplin on Saturday, and track and field will also travel to Pitt State this week to compete in the Gorilla Classic on Saturday.
Baseball will travel to Joplin starting on Thursday for the MIAA and GLVC crossover tournament, while softball will head down to Bentonville, Arkansas for the Arkansas Monticello D2 Challenge Friday and Saturday.
And women's tennis will also travel to Oklahoma for the weekend to begin competition.
We've definitely got a busy week ahead of us with winter sports continuing and spring sports beginning.
We sure do. But that's all we have for you this week. You can catch us our show on Missouri Western TV Channel 12 or catch us on our Vimeo and YouTube channels.
From all of us here at Griffon Update Sports, thank you for watching.
Welcome to Griffon Update Sports, a student-produced show all about Missouri Western athletics. We've got it all every week. Highlights, games, players, fans, and every sport all year long.